Now we move to a landmark medical ruling where a woman who detransitioned after identifying as a male in her teenage years, winning a $2 million malpractice suit. Mike Emanuel's got the story from here. And what is that, Mike? What happened?
Bill, good morning to you. That is one of more than 24 detransitioner lawsuits moving through our courts nationwide. The case you mentioned, which is under seal, reportedly involves a minor who identifies as a boy and sued New York doctors for leaving her, quote, disfigured for life. The question is how the verdict in the one case will impact the dozens of other cases. Elon Musk reacting on X, quote, there will be thousands of court cases of children who were mutilated by evil doctors, modern-day Mengelas. The schools, psychologists, psychiatrists, and state officials who facilitated this will pay dearly too. Mengele is a reference to the Nazi doctor known as the Angel of Death. Meanwhile, California's Attorney General Rob Bonta is suing a San Diego children's hospital for stopping gender-affirming care for minors, arguing it should continue. Quote, Rady Children's Health has chosen to violate its merger agreement and California law in response to the Trump administration's illegal campaign against providers of gender-affirming care. The Department of Education says the Biden administration turned a blind eye to this deprivation of parental rights, and the Trump administration will fight relentlessly to end it. Bill?
Thanks, Mike. Jackie's got more.
All right, joining me now is detransitioner Chloe Cole. Chloe, thank you so much for being here this morning. I want to just start us off by playing, or showing you rather, what Marsha Blackburn, the senator, said in reaction to this case. She says, this is exactly why I introduced the Chloe Cole Act, and the outcome in this case is a massive victory for children and parents. No child should be pushed into doing irreversible damage to their body under the guise of care. That act is named after you. What's your reaction to this legal victory, and what does it mean for what we might see next?
Frankly, I think that $2 million is not nearly enough to compensate for the damages that these doctors have done to my generation. I think that it would only be right if next every single doctor, every single clinic that's been involved in this has their wallets completely drained. They're all thrown in prison with the keys thrown out. But I think that $2 million, especially in a blue state like New York, this bodes well for the rest of the 28 cases, including my own, of all the children who have been harmed and are seeking legal justice.
Now, when we were talking in the break, you said that you weren't even aware of this case. Mike Emanuel said it was under seal. What does that say about how many more of these cases might be out there? What do you know from your experience about how many people are trying to bring suits like this?
As of right now, there are over 24 cases that have been filed against the gender-affirming care industry, including my own with Center for American Liberty. And I think that there are not only many more that are currently private, but there are going to be potentially hundreds, if not thousands, across the world.
Now, I do have a question. No, I'm not going to stop it too much. But so they're suing the gender-affirming care because they let the children, I guess, go through transition. Now, my question is, did the parents have to give their approval for this, or could they do it without the parents' approval? Because if they're upset about it and the parents let them do it, they should be upset with the parents. But I might be missing something. Let's keep going.
Detransitioners who had been mutilated have been castrated at very young ages, and I think it's only right that, obviously, these are things that are never going to be reversible, but I think every child who has had this done to them deserves the world.
Given all that, what do you make of the new Fox News polling that shows that Democrats are favored by voters by 22 points on transgender issues? I mean, that is a big lead over Republicans on transgender issues. What do you make of that?
To clarify, what does this mean? Does this mean that they're in favor of transitioning and these treatments?
I think it's up to interpretation. I think they're saying that the Democratic Party is better on transgender issues, more supportive of transgender issues than the Republican Party. And we've
I
seen how
see.
that's played out in some states. It's been it was a debate in the last election. But now that you and others in your community are coming forward and saying that what we were told, was damaging, and we are now stuck with the results, are you surprised to see that Democrats who broadly champion, the gender affirming care issues,
Okay, I'm understanding.
are still leading the day on it, despite the impacts to people like yourself?
It really comes as no surprise that they continue to double down, even as those who have come out with damages have spoken so boldly and openly about it, because the entire basis of transgenderism is not science. It's not any morality. It's completely ideological. And a lot of these politicians and these doctors that are pushing in favor of this are not only motivated by money, but they also have been led to truly believe that it is beneficial to these children to lead them into irreversible harm. Otherwise, they will kill themselves. And that is the same lie that they sell to every parent, that they sold to my parents in order to convince them that I had no other choice. And these doctors know exactly what they're doing.
Here's a question. So even though the doctors went through and said that, oh, they'll end up killing themselves if they don't get the surgery, I think it's truly up to the parents. I don't think without the parents' consent, they could not have done any of this. Yes, it sounds like they manipulated them, but I doing something like this to your child at such a young age, or in general, just doing this to your child, can have irreparable damages, because when they get older, they might not feel the same way about how they're feeling when they're a child, because they are a child. And then to go through a whole procedure and have irreparable damages because of it is unimaginable. But should the parents be held responsible too, if you're going to hold the doctors responsible? Because they ultimately let this happen. Yes, they might have been manipulated. Yes, but at the end of the day, they are the parents and they have to decide what's best for their children. And if they make the wrong decision, it's on them. At least that's my thinking. I might be overthinking this. I might be underthinking this. But let me know your thoughts. Let's keep going.
It may be a result of people getting, sort of an echo chamber of information and not hearing stories like yours, and not hearing stories like the one that just resulted in a $2 million settlement, legal victory. And we might see cascading cases come forward. So we will continue to follow this issue. Chloe Cole, thank you very much for joining.
It's a crazy situation. Let's go over into the AI breakdown just so we can just hear more about this actual case that's inspiring a lot of people. So a New York jury awarded $2 million to Fox. I'm not even going to try to say the last name, in a case against her former psychologist, and plastic surgeon regarding a double mass. Who these some big names? During her operation, she received at 16 years old while identifying as a transgender boy. A jury found both providers liable for departing from the standard of care. The psychologist was found to have failed to properly diagnose her with gender dysphoria or screen for any other mental health conditions before recommending. Oh, that's crazy. So instead of going through the thing that would cause the most damage, that's the first thing they went with was, oh yes, they're experiencing gender dysphoria. There's no other problems wrong with her mentally. That is what it is. That's the first thing that they went to, and immediately recommended surgery. That's crazy. Additionally, the doctors were found to have not adequately communicated or provided genuine, informed consent, with evidence suggesting that the mother was persuaded into consenting. The $2 million judgment includes a $1.6 million for past and future pains and suffering, and $400,000 for future medical expenses. Legal experts suggest that the case could influence similar lawsuits around the world. Yes, there are similar kids who are growing up or are old enough to understand what they did what their parents let happen to them while they were younger, while they were going through something mentally, and they got on the wrong path. Now, am I going to say that all? Am I going to say that everyone who's considered themselves transgender as a younger immediately changes their mind? No, I'm not going to say that. But I don't think anything should be done, especially to a child, until they let them make their own decisions when they can do what they want when they get older. It's a crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy situation, absolutely crazy. But like I said, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. The world is a crazy place and we got to review it together.